How's it going, guys? Welcome to Famous Fast Words. This is sort of my first official episode. I still don't have the backdrop and everything set up yet, but I wanted to take a second and just talk about today's race. This week we got brake ducts instead of aero ducts. A lot of people don't seem to really know that. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter about the package and it not being what people expected, but next week is really going to kind of be the test. If you guys watched testing about a month ago in Las Vegas, you would have known that there was a lot more drafting, a lot more side-by-side racing, so to speak, even though it was testing. And it seemed like cars stayed side-by-side for many laps in that test session. So we'll see next week. The track surface is a lot grippier at Las Vegas. There isn't as many bumps in the track because it is a new repave, a fairly new repave. Atlanta, as everybody knows probably, they've been talking about whether they should or whether they shouldn't repave it for the last several years now. It's a fairly old surface at Atlanta, and everybody's tried to keep them from repaving it because the racing, for the drivers, from their standpoint at least, has been really fun, really good. A lot of sliding around, a lot of tire degradation. The drivers really like that, and they think that helps them put on a good show. But I just don't know if this is the way we're going to go with this package in the future. I just don't know if that's what's going to be successful, especially if they do end up going, straight full aero duct like they're going to do next weekend at Vegas, and they start to depend more on this draft. I think that you're going to see the draft work a lot better at a track with a smoother surface, smoother but grippier, I should say, just because they're going to be able to hold their line a lot easier. They're not going to be sliding all over the place. So this week's winner was Brad Keselowski, which was sort of surprising because he kind of, he had a slow progression through the field, and he sort of looked like he came out of nowhere towards the end of the race, and he suffered from flu-like symptoms all weekend. He actually had what he described as the stomach flu, him and his wife. So for him to essentially take 2 bags of IV leading up to the race and still have the energy to get it all done and bring it home and win the race was pretty impressive by Brad. And we see that a lot. We see when drivers are faced with especially medical situations, health situations. We've seen a lot in the sport over years where they seem to maybe get motivation from that somehow, and there's a lot of situations where it seems like they pull out a win or at least a really good finish, which is pretty cool. The race was pretty good at the end, especially. Martin Truex Jr. looked like he was running him down and looked like he was going to make it a fight. I just think he ran out of laps. I don't really think that the aero package kept him from passing Keselowski by any means, because I think we saw during the race that passing the leader really wasn't a problem. So you could actually run down the leader, which was good. The gap the leader got out, I think at one point, maybe Larson was out to about 3 or 4 seconds, which, that's racing. In my opinion, that's racing. You're going to have guys get that kind of a lead. Clean air is still king, especially without the aero ducts that they will run next week. And, that's what racing's all about, because it's just the guy the cream rises to the top, essentially. So if I'm going to go out there and I'm better than you, I'm going to show that by going out there and whooping you on the track. And, that's what Larson was definitely doing at one point until he had his misfortune. I believe he sped on pit road. A lot of pit road incidents today. That's one thing, too. Kind of feel bad for Ryan Preece. He had a great run going. At one point, he was running in 8th place in that JTG Doherty car, which is fantastic. Not to mention Chris Buescher. Same thing for him. He was running right in front of Ryan Preece at one point. So great run for that team. I'd like to see them build on that momentum. But he was looking down at his tack and didn't see BJ McLeod cut right in front of him, even though his pit stall was about 5 stalls down from where Preece was exiting, and Preece just slammed right into the back of him, ended his day. I hated that for Preece, but I think we have some good things coming from that team here in the future. Also, tough luck for Jimmy Johnson today. I know he finished a few laps down, I think possibly 2 laps down if I remember correctly, and I don't remember exactly what place that he finished in, As I kind of get more into this, I'll start taking notes and I'll start giving you guys exact numbers. But I'm trying to break the ice right now and just kind of start putting out content, because that's really what I intend to do here. But tough luck for that team. I just don't know what it is. I think Hendrick is still wrapping their arms around this Camaro, and now the addition of the new Aero package, I think that's going to be a monkey wrench in that. I hope they can pull it out. I hope that they can start to get some speed. We didn't really even see Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, definitely not William Byron. We didn't see really any of those drivers up towards the front for most of the day. I think maybe Chase was getting ready to crack the front of the field, but just no momentum from Hendrick Motorsports yet. I know it's early in the season, so we'll see what happens next week, because once again, it's going to be completely different. I don't think, a lot of people are like, oh, well, is it really going to change that much? I do think it is going to change again still. So from Daytona to Atlanta to next weekend at Vegas, I think we're going to have 3 completely different races. So it's really hard to judge where everyone's going to be this year. So I will possibly put up a list. There is a list about, for which tracks this year have the 550 horsepower tapered spacer and which ones are running the 750 horsepower tapered spacer and which ones will have aero ducts and which ones won't. So the ones that won't, they'll run the brake ducts, which we saw today. Lastly, I just wanted to mention Kyle Busch. Rough day early on for him. He did recover from a blown right rear tire and a little bit of contact with the wall. He ended up finishing, I think, 6th today. So that was pretty good after spinning earlier in the weekend in practice all by himself, which I found was a little bit ironic because he made the comments last year that, anybody would be able to drive these cars and they'd be too easy to drive at such low horsepower and high downforce. But either way, great turnaround for him. And, there's a lot going on this season. So we have to keep up. We have to, critique it week by week. We really can't be judging this package right now because it's going to change. We haven't seen the whole deal yet, but, that's coming next week. I believe we can start to make a better guess as to how the rest of the season is going to play out. But, keep in mind, the short tracks, the road courses, we're still going to be running 750 horsepower. So, and then there's a couple more of these 1.5 mile tracks, like today, where we're going to have, or even bigger, where we're going to have no aero ducts and we're going to run the brake ducts. So, like Pocono, for instance. I think it's going to be a good season. Let's just give it a chance. Let's just see where it goes, guys. That's it for today. Next week, I'm going to have some Formula One news because I know it's the second week of preseason testing, and the Ferraris are looking strong. There's a lot of questions about whether Mercedes is still going to be at the top of the heap after, I think, a little bit of a lackluster test session last week, but I do not think that they were putting in their all. I do think they're holding everything is still a little close to the vest. So we'll see where they are after the second and final week of preseason testing for Formula One. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with me. I know this is only the second video, and I'm just kind of learning the ropes, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what my format is still. And I'll probably be back maybe midweek, maybe towards the end of the week, just depending on how things go. I'm going to try to have some Formula One news, like I said, and we'll see. We'll just see where it all goes, and hopefully I'll be able to get more of a studio set up here in the near future. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later.